technology in targeted drug delivery system. That is my area. When I used to go USA, many times I went to USA for some lectures, for some research work, and I did my postdoc at Creighton University, USA. That is, Professor Dr. Olekha Das. He was my mentor in that time. So I did. Actually, I'm a pharmacologist, basically from pharmacy background, and I did so many projects, so many cancer research, breast cancer research, mostly from the cancer area. We do all those things, and as you know, mm, as you know, so we are having a group like Dr. Gitanjali Tripathi from the Government Institute, Dr. Gitanjali Tripathi, the Government Institute, from the Government Institute, Dr. Shakti Prasad Pradhan, Dr. Vandana Behera, Adyasa, and Rajesh, who are my core group of research members. And now you can see the picture. That is the idol Ma Saraswati, Lord Saraswati, who is with in a blessed form, and in front of our Utkal University. And the second picture is the Vice Chancellor, the main administrative building of Utkal University, which is a new one. And the third one is our department, that is the Pharmaceutical Science Department. So these are the backgrounds where in the meantime, we'll discuss some green nanotechnology, their aspects, their how they interacted with the particles, various particles. So many things are there. What is green nanotechnology? Coming to this topic, what is green nanotechnology? And as we all have knew something about this green nanotechnology, today is the fourth day, and most of the scientists, or we can say our speakers, they have more or less described all these things like nanotechnology, how we could make the nanotechnology transform into the green nanotechnology, which is the need of the hour. So green nanotechnology, why green nanotechnology? That is the main question or main theme of the today's title. So mostly it reduces the use of energy and the fuel by using less material and renewable inputs wherever it is possible. So furthermore, the nanotechnology, the products, processes, applications are expected to contribute significantly to the environmental and climate protections by saving the raw materials, the energy. The most important thing is water. So as well as by reducing the greenhouse gases, that decrease the consumptions of non-renewable raw materials. They are the main advantages of green nanotechnology. So green nanotechnology offers a great opportunity to stop the adverse effects before they occur. Green nanotechnology that does not ascend in and that forms on the principles of green chemistry. Basically, these are the two tools, that is green chemistry and the green engineering. So apart from such obvious areas as the development of solar cells, biofuels, fuel cells, and green nanotechnology, the applications might involve The applications might involve the use of nanomaterials in clean production process that synthesize the nanoparticles or the nanomaterials. There is some truly green nanotechnology, fully growing the nanomaterials in plants. However, they will never reach the scale required for the industrial green nanotechnology. They needs a full process assessment like other industrial manufactured products. So this is our green nanotechnology. We can term it that whenever we term the green, that refers to the environment, they're environment friendly, and the technology refers to the applications of knowledge in practical way. So the process or the ability of using less energy, recycle those things or recycle those products after the use, and using the eco-friendly materials. So this is all about the green nanotechnology. The purpose of green nanotechnology. So purpose of green nanotechnology. Purpose of green nanotechnology that refers to the use of nanotechnology that enhance the environmental sustainability of process that produce negative externalities. It also refers to the use of products of nanotechnology to enhance the sustainability. So this green nanotechnology or the nanotechnology is the use of science in engineering to manipulate and create materials out of atom. As you know, the ultra small scale of less than 100 nanometers are the ideal size. So it is 100,000 the width of a human hair, a single human hair. So at the nanoscale level, the conventional materials have unconventional and unexpected properties. Nanoparticles could also be used to remove the industrial pollutants. So having said that, moving on to the next slide, some basic principles are there. Green nanotechnology, I know these are the theoretical part, some might be experienced in the research. Yeah, we'll go for some of our papers, research papers which have been published already. We are actually working on some of the areas like green nanotechnology. It is obvious we are taking green nanotechnology. That is why we have selected this topic for the faculty development program. The second one is second most important thing is we are taking chitosense, cell lines, green obviously the green material, that is herbal plants, and with that some established drugs like gemcitabine, paclitaxels, and nanoparticles for iron oxides, nanoparticles with the silver nanoparticles, AgNO3, and nanoparticles of aurum, that is gold particles. So we are working basing on these three areas: gold nanoparticles, silver nanoparticles, and the iron oxide nanoparticles. So these are the three areas where we are working, and almost a number of publications already been published in cited much cited rated journals. So the principles, the green nanotechnology has there are two goals. They're producing the nanomaterials and products without harming the environment or the human health, and producing nano products that provide the solution to the environmental problems. So later on, after a few slides, I'll jump to certain important slides, and there we'll discuss our one of the major area what we have published in the American journal. So we will discuss. So green nanotechnology. So this is the concept of the mixed effect of green chemistry, green engineering, as we have already discussed. That is the activity of herbal medicines, biofuels, fuel cells, solar cells, sunlight, the combination of all these things mixed into reusable energy, and we are getting this green nanotechnology. So in the way, they increase the energy efficiency, reduce the waste, greenhouse gas emissions, decrease the consumption of non-renewable raw materials are the main advantages of green nanotechnology. So green nanotechnology offers a great opportunity to stop the adverse effects before they occur. Moving on to the next slide. In phytoformulation research, they are like solid lipid nanoparticles, polymeric nanoparticles, proliposomes, liposomes, and the nanoemulsions. The effects of this nanotechnology is to enhance the solubility, bioavailability, improvement of stability, suppression of toxicity, improvement of pharmacological activity, sustained delivery, improving of tissue macrophage circulations, and defense against the physical chemical degradations. So these are the synthesis method. There are so many methods are there: physical method, chemical method, and biological methods. So in that, the herbal approach for developing these nanoparticles are the activity of the herbal medicines depends on the overall functions of active components, So as all the constituents provides, all the components provides the synergistic actions, and thus they improve the therapeutic value. Each active constituent is related to each other and they all play significant roles. On the other hand, the insoluble character of the most of the drugs herbal origin that leads to the lower bioavailability. Because this systemic clearance is increased and frequent administrations or a higher dose is required. So all of which that renders the drug a low-class drug for therapeutic use. So nanoparticle in phytoformulation research, they're developing nanotechnology-based dosage forms, solid lipid nanoparticles, as we have gone through that slide, that is polymeric nanoparticles, proliposomes, liposomes, nanoemulsions. They have a great number of advantages for herbal drugs. So these include the enhancement of solubility, bioavailability, improvement of stability, suppression of toxicity, improvement of pharmacological activity. So therefore, the problems associated with the plant medicines, they can be overcome with nano-sized drugs like delivery systems, nano-sized drug delivery systems of herbal drugs. They have the potential future for enhancing their activity. So including the nanocarriers as an NDDS in conventional medicine systems, they would be necessary to combat more chronic disease like diabetes, cancer, asthma, others with the aid of herbal drugs. As you can see, the slide is nano drug delivery system and its advantages. So the important technological advantage of a nanoparticle used as a drug carriers are high stability, high carrier capacity. It has a feasibility of incorporations of both hydrophilic and hydrophobic substances, and feasibility of variables routes of administrations. They include the oral applications and inhalations. So new drug, this is completely different from the new drug delivery systems. These are the nano drug delivery systems. They are the class of nanomaterials. They have abilities to increase the stability, water solubility of drugs. They prolong the cycle time. They increase the uptake rate of target cells or the tissues, and they reduce the enzyme degradations, thereby improve the safety of effectiveness of the drugs. So, moving to the next slide. So, green nanotechnology or green nanotechnology, it has a challenge. It has so many challenges. The challenges of a sustainable nanotechnology is not only an ethical concern, but also they offer a way for enlargement of applications of our study, because nothing that starts with wrong toxic materials that could be suitable to produce correct results of a general applicability at a clinical or the industrial scale. So hence, we must be careful in our research, taking into account its potential dangerous aspects in order to improve the safety in our own laboratories and future applications. So thus, moving from the consideration of simple, practical, and successful results to their complementary with the environmental effects. So the aforementioned considerations must also concern the publication of works in this field. So all these efforts, be sure will contribute to improve the safe use of our work and enhance the applicability of our research. So nanotechnology advantages and disadvantages are many. Like advantages, advances in disease treatment such as cancer, mostly cancer. Some of the cancer drugs are established already. So better imaging. Efficient production tools. So I can show you some of the important. I can show you some of the important drugs which are already marketed and acting against anti-cancer drugs. Those are the products like Abraxane. The company is Abraxis, and the Donoxam, that is from the Galen company, which is the generic name is the Donorobicin. Abraxane, the drug or the generic name is the paclitaxel, and the Doxil, that is Doxorubicin. The company name is Johnson & Johnson. So these are the established cancer drugs right now available in the market used against the cancers. So these are the advances of nano drug delivery systems. Nano drug delivery systems, they increase the stability, and what most important is the stability and size. When you go for a nano resource, you have to focus on the stability and the size and shape. It will also prolong the cells cycle time. It will increase the uptake rate of target cells and tissues. It will reduce the enzyme degradations, thereby improve the safety and effectiveness of drugs. These are the most advantageous points, like they show the high stability, high carrier capacity, the feasibility of the incorporations of both hydrophilic and hydrophobic substances. That means, some scientists are very much capable of doing things, nano things in hydrophilic area, and some scientists are very much good enough in handling hydrophobic things. So basically, if you go through the nano things, then it is very much easier to handle both of them. So feasibility of variable routes of administrations, including the oral applications and inhalations. So these are the basic disadvantages also. That means that there is always a lawful, or there is always a disadvantages in some good things also. So the plant cannot be manipulated as the choice through optimized synthesis, through the genetic engineering. Plant produce low yield of secreted proteins, which decreases the synthesis rate. Culturing the microorganisms is the consuming process. Difficult to have a control over size, shape, and crystallinity. So, but of course, there are some methods to get rid of these problems, but the time will have to be permit for those things. So the particles are not monodispersed and rate of production is slow. So these are the tool of green technology. So green strategies, materials, green reagents, green reactions, green chemical products, and the green methodologies. These are the basic tools to green for the green technology. So green technology achievements like the development of new insecticides, new synthesis of ibuprofen in a nanomode, development of carbon dioxide as a solvent for dry cleaning, Barry Trust's concept of atom economy for the expressing the efficiency of reactions, and use of waste carbon dioxide as a blowing agent instead of CFCs for foam polyester synthesis. So now, how we can reuse the things, recycle or reuse the things. In zero waste is a philosophy that encourages the redesign of resource life cycles so that all the products are used or reused. The goal is for no trash to be sent to landfills or incinerations. So the process of recommended is one similar to the way that resources are reused in the nature. You see, this slide shows the sustainable chemistry educations like green chemistry, the chemical enterprise, environmental chemistry, smart materials, carbon neutral economy, renewable energy resources, core chemistry knowledge, human endeavor, and the local cultures. These are the combination of the factors which are present, and we have to take in all these things in a together mode to get a sustainable chemistry educations. So the basics life's basic thing is chemistry. We'll have to learn chemistry, and without chemistry we cannot go for this pharmacology, drug invention, so many things. Nanoparticles. Without chemistry, it is merely impossible. So chemistry is the basic funda of life. And you see the tree. The tree shows energy, chemicals, so many optical engineering, bioengineering. So these are the things. So this is you can see the slides. How we are practicing the things to extract the actual materials or the core materials from the plant, and with the metal salt solutions, we bioreduce the things and get the synthesis of metal nanoparticles. Thereafter, we are characterizing them in various forms and various shapes of nanoparticles, and so the characterizations I can elaborate some, like to find out the size, shape, elemental chemical compositions, crystal structures, size distributions, chemical state, oxidation state, like growth kinetics, ligand binding, compositions, density, arrangement, the surface compositions, the surface area, the agglomeration state. We have to go for some real characterizations mode. Those are characterization techniques. Those are TEM, that is transmission emission microscopy, XRD, which is X-ray diffractions, dynamic light scattering, DLS, NTA, some SEM, AFM, FMR, DCS, UV visual spectroscopy, MALDI, NMR. So a number of like zeta potentials, RMM, MEMs. So these are the characterization technique we have at Bhubaneswar. We have facilities. So we are going through all these characterizations of nanoparticles, and thereafter we're getting the shape, size, density, so many things we can getting out from this result. And thereafter we are going for this bioclinical applications. That means for the human body or human, we are going through some experiments on the human, that is human ethical committee. On the animal, then it is it should be approved by Institutional Animal Ethical Committee, that is IAEC. So I don't know why this slide is fixing up again and again. The issue is not solved. Okay, you see here, so this is a silver nanoparticles. The silver nanoparticles techniques, from the plant extract with the silver nanoparticles, we have so many procedures we have to adapt it. You see these applications of silver nanoparticles in various areas like antiviral, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, anti-angiogenic, anti-tumor, antioxidative, biosensing, imaging, textiles, drug carrier, water treatment, human health care. So these are the things. So these are the things where this silver nanoparticles application already established. So coming to this gold and silver nanoparticles, you see another picture is there, that is the actions going on, the pharmacological actions on various here. You see the gold and silver nanoparticles, aurum and silver nanoparticles, unique properties, size, shapes, and bimetallic nanoparticles. So here, the gold nanoparticles have gained substantial attention due to their controllable size, shape, and surface. Because of the unique properties, those properties of gold nanoparticles have been studied for potential applications in areas such as biosensors, hypotherapy, antibacterial drugs, genetic engineering, and the nanoparticles are achieved by employing the plants as they are biological factories via the green chemistry, green chemistry based techniques. The study of nanoparticle synthesis, they also discovered that a variety of shapes, including the rod shape, in irregular, the icosahedral and hexagonal, they could be produced depending on the pH of the reaction medium. Furthermore, a leaf extract of Eucalyptus macrocappa, they could be used in synthesized gold nanoparticles. The results from this study show that spherical particles with a size ranging 20 to 80 nm were obtained as the main product. So basically, why we take this iron oxide nanoparticles, the silver and gold nanoparticles, because they have the advantage of getting, we can resize them. We can resize them according to our wish. So this biometallic nanoparticle synthesis is comprised of competitive reduction process between two aqueous solutions. Each of which the contain reduction process between the two aqueous solutions, each of which contain a different metallic ion, the precursors that is reacted with the plant extract. In the case of biometric nanoparticles, the gold has a larger reduction potentials, and the silver. So as long as the silver, so gold will form the first and create the core of the resulting core cell structures. So with this, we have so many. You can see this gold and silver nanoparticles. They have the unique properties, size and shapes, biometallic nanoparticles. So now you come to this copper and copper oxide nanoparticles. So those are also earlier studies established on the plants like Syzygium aromaticum and Euphorbia niveolea. So those are the two plants already have been exercised, or we can say they are published already. So a variety of copper and copper oxide nanoparticles, they have been synthesized from the plant extracts. Copper nano, of course, we have not worked on this copper and copper oxide nanoparticles, but copper oxide nanoparticles of magnolia leaf extract, they have been biologically synthesized to develop the step nanoparticles, the size 40 to 100 nm. Furthermore, they are sized in between the 40 to 100 nm. Furthermore, the activity of the copper nanoparticles, there is the shown potential antibacterial activity against the E. coli. The Syzygium, as I told you, Syzygium aromaticum, the plant, already it is established. Its extracts have been used in the synthesis of copper nanoparticles with a spherical to granular morphology and a mean particle size within 40 nm. That is so good, so good. So copper nanoparticles have been synthesized by using the stem latex Euphorbia niveolea. Actually, some scientists already established and published those papers with in copper, in iron, in copper, in iron, in silver, in gold. They have reduced it to 10, 20, 30, 40. But you know, when you go for this iron oxide nanoparticle or the gold nanoparticle or silver oxide nanoparticles, what I feel is to reduce the size up to the optimum or the maximum, it is not worthy. It is not worthy. So in that case, we can see, we can execute some kind of exercise, like from the nanoforms, we can make it some microforms, some microparticles. So in that way, because the plant or the herbal or the green nanoparticles, we have to make such a way that the particle should enter into the targeted area within the limit. If it is very much less, then you need to have bigger amount of nanoparticles or maximum amount of nanoparticles, and our aim and objectives, they are detrimental. So here the next one is palladium and platinum nanoparticles. Palladium and platinum nanoparticles, two or three scientists I have referred here. One is Satish Kumar, second one is Sang et al, and the third one is Kosia et al. These three scientists, they have already been worked on Camellia sinensis, Coffea arabica, Diospharia kaki. So these are Pinus resinosa. So these are the referred published articles. Already I have referred those things. And one of the articles, that is Satish Kumar et al., they developed palladium nanoparticles from C. gelinicum, that is cinnamon bark extract. During the synthesis, the temperature, concentrations, and the reaction pH of the bark, the extract changed, but morphology and the particle size were not influenced. You see, in that paper, it is 15 to 20 nanometer. They have established the nanoparticles, which is, in my opinion, it is not good to target. Okay, so these are the things. Next, we come to the titanium dioxide and the zinc oxide nanoparticles. So here, some Rupan et al. Established ecliptoprostate. The leaf extract could also produce the particles with size range of 36 to 68 nm. The antioxidant and antibacterial properties of this titanium dioxide nanoparticles, they synthesized using the extract from the Pseudium guajava. That is, they were evaluated against the Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Staphylococcus aureus, and Proteus mirabilis. So these are the recent approach in nanoparticles. You see, this is a formation of gold nanoparticles step by step. They have cited it like heat a solution chlororic acid, that is HAUCl4, and after reflux them, boiling them, and that HAUCl4, that is chlororic acid, is a water-soluble gold salt. The add some trisodium citrate, which is a reducing agent. Then you continue stirring and heating for about 10 to 15 minutes. During this time, the sodium citrate reduces the gold to the metallic gold. So the neutral gold atoms aggregate into the seed crystals. The seed crystals, they continue to grow and eventually they form a gold nanoparticles. Here, the nanoparticles in a physical chemistry, already we have discussed this slide. Now you see this microbial synthesis of nanoparticles and their potential applications. So many scientists, they are working on this nanoparticles. They are using this microbial synthesis of nanoparticles. I'm quickly moving these slides because green synthesis of metallic nanoparticles and their perspectives. You see the biomass filtrate, they are coming from this metal ions such as silver, gold, nanoparticles, titanium, zinc, and biological entities including bacteria, fungi, actinomyces, algae, and plant extracts. And the first monitor for the nanoparticle synthesis is the color change. The color after the nanoparticles changes its color, then we move to this characterization and biotechnological applications such as some activities like antibacterial activity, antifungal, wastewater treatment, photothermal activity, the insecticidal activity, drug delivery, food industry, bioremediation, so many applications over there. So green synthesis of metal nanoparticles, already more or less we have discussed these things. You see this one again, that plant extract with the metallic ion source, then the biological reduction happens over there with the nucleation accumulations, then they get stabilized and capped nanoparticles, metal particle capping agent over there. Then we will have to go through some key factors like pH, concentrations, reaction time, reaction temperature, and we'll have to evaluate thereafter. So these green nanomedicines, the devices, they may be used like, the inorganic metallic nanoparticles, quantum dots, organic polymeric nanoparticles, mesoporosilica nanoparticles, dendrimers, nanostructured lipid carriers, solid lipid nanoparticles, etc. So you see, thus I've said it in a sequential form that drug delivery systems in the efficacy and active pharmaceutical compounds like vaccines, antibodies, enzymes, peptides, proteins. You see, the green nanotechnology or the drug delivery, with the drug delivery, the area has actually they commenced a new realm of green nanomedicines. The emerging demand for the green nanotechnology driven drug delivery systems has led to the development of different types of delivery device like the inorganic metallic nanoparticles, like I have already told just before the slide, that quantum dots, organic polymeric nanoparticles, dendrimers, nanostructured lipid carriers, solid lipid nanoparticles. So the present article deals, this deals with a brief account of delivery device. Our article also, they are also saying those, we are going to show those articles. We have the drug delivery systems in the green nanomedicine format. So drug delivery, what is drug delivery systems? To achieve this efficacy and administrations of active pharmaceutical compounds such as drugs, vaccines, antibodies, enzymes, the peptides, proteins, the exigency to develop an advanced type of drug delivery system lies in the limitations associated with the conventional DDS, that is drug delivery systems, which are first-pass effect, instability, intolerance, fluctuation in plasma drug levels. So we have some other factors like limited effectiveness, lack of selectivity, poor bioavailability, high dose form. So to achieve this targeted delivery and to avoid the rapid degradation of drug, the protection from the clearance, a plethora, these DDS have been developed. Drug delivery systems have been developed. So already you see the years 1950 to 1980. The first generation of drug delivery system was developed that is dedicated towards the transdermal and orally sustained release system. However, in 1980 and 2010, the second generation 2G of DDS drug delivery system came into being, actions which majorly they focused on the green nanotechnology. So the third generations from 2010 till date of drug delivery systems, they will have to be advanced much beyond 2G to overcome both physicochemical, that is poor water solubility, controlled drug release kinetics, and the biological specific target site delivery barriers with the help of non-toxic excipients. So you see the three rules: manipulations, reductions, and the fabrications of materials on a nanoscale with dimensions between 1 and 100 mm. And the characteristic properties like improved stability, good strength, cost effectiveness, biocompatibility, definite and specific targeting. Nanoparticles importance as a potent DDS, already we have discussed. You see the nanocarriers. These are the nanocarriers. This is a beautiful picture, egg-like structure, but you know, this carbon nanotubes, microporosilica, non-metal nanoparticles, carbon dots, nanostructure, solid lipid nanoparticles, quantum dots, nano diamonds, magnetic nanoparticles, metal nanoparticles. So these are the nanocarriers we can use in the process of delivery systems. So you see, there are 12 principles of green chemistry, that is nanoparticle synthesis and the nanovectors. So 12 principles includes they are simple, they must be cost effective, they must be eco-friendly, they must be readily available readily available with the raw materials with no harmful chemicals, no toxic byproducts, and less steps in the procedures. You see some nanovectors are there. They shows the biocompatibility, biodegradability, amended cellular uptake, long shelf life with the minimum drug loss and the minimum toxicity. So what causes this EPR effect? This is the actual mechanism behind this nanoparticle when targeting the cells. So the EPR effect is the property characterized by increased accumulation of macromolecules such as liposomes, drugs, nanoparticles in tumor versus normal tissues. So this is due to the fact that the vasculature within a tumor zone is leaky. Alekh Das in the first speech of him, like in the inaugural day 7th July, he told that the vasculature within the tumor zone is leaky. With dysfunctional lymphatic system, it allows easy access of these agents. So, the tight junctions of endothelial cells, they contain within the normal tissues that do not allow the transport of delivered therapeutic across them. So EPR was described first in the study of Matsumura and Maeda in 1986, I guess. In it, nanoparticles targeted described first in the study of tumors more efficiently than the small molecule drugs. So this study provides a platform to get the EPR effect, and that whether the drug or the nanodrugs is being targeted accurately, we can ascertain. So next one is we can see this is a journal where we have produced. We have so many papers. I would like to mention one of the research where we have taken a plant at the cloud with the iron oxide nanoparticles and for the targeting cells. So, see here, this Journal of Pharmaceutics Therapeutics, that is an American journal. And these are the actions we have taken. You see the chart from the plant. We have taken the nanoparticles. That is the Camellia sinensis plant. That is a tea plant. So that tea plant we have extracted, and we have taken some characterizations like UV, FTIR, SCMM, TM, X-ray diffractions, XRD. So these are the effects of our work. You see the FTIR spectra, X-ray diffractions, which have a good impact. Now you see the cell cycle analysis. You see the SCM and TM image, and the induction of MCF cell apoptosis, and some tips for sustainable lab. To run experiments on the micro scale to reduce the waste. Switch to the green solvent that use 2-methyl tetrahydrofuran in place of methylene chloride, and use cyclopentyl methyl ether in place of tetrahydrofuran, 1,4-dioxane and ether. So these are some of the clues or the points which will make it in the lab. Continue with the tips for sustainable lab. So neutralize basic phosphate buffer, HPLC waste or acidic hydrochloric acid waste to pH 7 and pour down the drain. So recycle electronics, ice packs, packaging materials, toner cartridges, pipette tip boxes, and water purification cartridges. So here we have we came to the conclusion. The different methods like physical, chemical, and biological, they have been developed. the formation of nanoparticles using the natural substance has a major edge over methods in the terms of its interactions and effects of environment. Green chemistry has appeared as a new concept in the implementation of chemical process to avoid the use of hazardous substances. The nanomaterials, the synthesized using green methods, are found to be more stable as compared to those using classical methods. Okay, so inorganic nanoparticles, the metallic nanoparticles, and the quantum dots organic nanoparticles, the polymeric nanoparticles, mesoporous silica nanoparticles, etc., has been highlighted, comprising their preparation and applications. Most of the synthesis have been carried out in the research laboratories at a small scale, but researchers are engaged in scaling up these processes so as to explore the potential and applications of nanomaterials in the health science, environment, and many more fulfilling the future demands, or looking at the future demands. So having said that, I am concluding this PowerPoint. And if any questions over there, please, you can ask me in the chat box, and I'll be getting those things.